This harmony that we so-called take for granted between equality and justice, that we think people actually have it, it's not something that is actually available to the people on the ground level. So equality is only and only going to make sense when it is accompanied by a sense of justice, right? Very, very important. Now you have to understand that justice basically is what? Justice is, simply put, it is basically, adequate, not actually adequate, it is, equitable distribution of goods. Okay, it is rightful allocation. Yeah, you can use the word rightful allocation. It is rightful allocation of resources, of benefits, that should be met to the people. Okay, to the concerned people, especially those who are belonging to this section. Okay, so this condition must always be fulfilled while applying the principle of what? While applying the principle of equality. So exactly the same thing that we are saying again. You simply have to remember that equality will be meaningful only and only when it is being accompanied by a sense of justice, right? So let's now take up some more examples to have a thorough understanding of this concept. What I'm simply proposing here is that we always act, we always act with a sense of justice while applying the principle of, we always act with a sense of justice while we are applying, while we are applying what? The principle of equality. Now, let me explain this to you with some of the very easy examples through which you will absolutely understand this to the core, right? Let's take the example of women. Let's take the example of reservation. These two examples, right? We'll simplify it to the, we'll understand it in layman's language. The idea here is that you understand this concept. You see, this is a very theoretical subject. I can give you the points, you can note them down, but if you do not understand the essence of it, then we're not accomplishing much here. What am I saying? I'm saying that the sense of justice should always take into the consideration the principle of equality, right? Is this clear? So how are we going to understand this? Let's say women. Now, what is the position of women in our country? Women are regarded as a, of course, by rights, we have equal, rights and status and everything. But we all know there are issues that there is not pay equality. Okay, women are not given the same amount of pay for the work that they do, and their pay is always going to be a little less, or rather a lot more less, if that same work is being done by a male counterpart, right? So this is a pertinent issue. Now, in order to uh, resolve this kind of issue, or to do its bit, the state has introduced what? The state has introduced certain rights for the women. For instance, I'm talking about Article 15 of the Constitution of India. Now, this Article 15 is actually talking about that, we are going to give certain benefits to the weaker section, and in that weaker section, even women come into consideration. For instance, their admission into educational institutions, right? For instance, their reservation of certain seats for women in, let's say, in the panchayati raj institutions, that is a local self government. So the entire idea here is that you understand that we are only and only going to be successful, when we're taking the idea of justice and equality together. In the absence of one missing, the thing that we want, it will not happen. Why? Because there has to be a harmony between both the ideas of justice and the idea of equality. Now let's talk about reservation. You see, reservation is written here. Why is reservation provided? Reservation is provided for the simple reason that there are some amongst us who are not as privileged. 1 minute. Nevertheless, we have finished writing, so just hear me out. There are some who are not as privileged, who are not as, who are not being accorded the same amount of rights. this is when we are taking the historical aspect into consideration as well. So reservation is nothing but a form of an affirmative action which is done by the state in order to ensure that there is an accordance between equality and justice. So these are some of the important points that you have to understand, especially when we are talking about the concept of equality as justice. So yeah, we're back now. So this is what I wanted to discuss with you. Please remember the important philosophers concerned. We started it with the idea of Aristotle, thinking that, he says justice is what? Treating equals equally and unequals unequally. And then we discussed all of the scenario and we went to the modern thinkers. We took the example of Hayek and we understood that justice and equality will only make sense when there is a sense of accordance between the two. So this is it, what I wanted to discuss with you in this lecture today. I hope this was informative. Thank you for watching and please stay tuned.